great misfortune. Under the Balinese sun, the fortune slip felt like a bucket of cold water poured over my newlywed husband Ethan's face. His instantly pale expression startled me even more than the slip itself. Our honeymoon ended abruptly, with the excuse of urgent matters at school. Now, he suddenly appeared at the airport arrival gate, smelling of disinfectant, smiling and saying surprise. Looking at him, I realized clearly for the first time that this whirlwind marriage might have been my one-sided wish from start to finish. Great misfortune. The Balinese sun was blazing, yet it couldn't dispel the gloom on Ethan's face. He clenched the thin fortune slip in his hand as if holding a searing hot iron. It was the 5th day of our honeymoon, at a temple said to be very auspicious. I was excited to seek a good omen for our marriage, but Ethan insisted on making the prayer himself. As a result, this is the kind of thing that came up. His face instantly turned pale, his eyes darting away, unable to utter a single coherent word. I tried to comfort him. These things exist if you believe in them, and don't if you don't. But he, like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, suddenly withdrew the slip, his tone stiff. I'm not feeling well, let's go back. The honeymoon came to an abrupt end. The reason was that his university had an urgent project and he had to return to New York immediately. Although I felt disappointed, being newlyweds, I wanted to be understanding. He left 2 days earlier, and I returned as originally planned. When the plane landed at Kennedy Airport, I dragged my luggage out of the gate and immediately spotted Ethan in the crowd. He was wearing a simple white t-shirt and jeans, holding a small bouquet of sunflowers, with a perfectly fitting smile on his face. Liv, surprise? Shouldn't he be busy with projects at school? As I got closer, a faint scent of disinfectant drifted into my nose. It was subtle, but I am extremely sensitive to that smell. Why are you here? I took the flowers, trying to make my tone sound natural. I wanted to see you earlier. He reached out to take my suitcase, his movements smooth and natural. Let's go. The car is parked outside. Sitting in his car, the smell of disinfectant was even stronger. Mixed with the cedar cologne he usually wore, it created a strange combination. The school project. Is it finished? I asked indirectly. Almost done. He started the car, eyes fixed ahead. Just some finishing touches. I didn't ask any further. That slight sense of discord in my heart was like a stone thrown into a lake, sending ripples spreading out in circles. Back at our apartment in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, my mother-in-law, Emily, Ethan's mother, had already prepared a sumptuous dinner. She was a typical New York high society lady, elegant and poised, but with a subtle sense of detachment. Liv's back. Come sit. Try the lemon roast chicken I made. Emily greeted me warmly. Ethan naturally took over. Mom, how many times have I told you? Just have the housekeeper do it. Don't tire yourself out. It's nothing. Liv's first official return home. I have to make a gesture. Emily smiled meaningfully, her gaze circling my face. How was the honeymoon? Was Bali fun? I glanced at Ethan. He was looking down, cutting his steak as if he hadn't heard. Pretty good. It's just that Ethan's school had something come up suddenly, so he came back early. I went along with his explanation. Oh? What's so urgent? Emily looked at Ethan. There was an accident with a research project, and I need to go back to handle it. Ethan's answer was flawless. The atmosphere at the dinner table was somewhat subtle. I was stunned. After dinner, Ethan excused himself, saying he was tired and went back to his room to rest. Emily pulled me to sit in the living room, seemingly chatting casually, but actually probing. Liv, you and Ethan got married a bit quickly. Auntie knows you've been wronged. My heart skipped a beat. Ethan and I got married incredibly quickly. 3 months ago, I attended my brother Liam's company annual party as a family member. That night, I had low blood sugar and my old heart condition flared up, almost causing me to faint. It was Ethan who caught me. He is an important technical consultant at Liam's company and was also Liam's senior during university. Gradually, we started to get in touch. Ethan is handsome, knowledgeable, gentle, and considerate, almost fitting every woman's fantasy. Less than a month after we met, he proposed to me. His reason was, when you meet the right person, you don't want to wait even a moment. At that time, I was overwhelmed by immense happiness. I come from a well-off family but have poor health, so I didn't have high expectations for love. Ethan's appearance was like a ray of light. I almost immediately said yes. The wedding was simple and quick, with only close family from both sides invited. Looking back now, everything went unbelievably smoothly, as fast as a dream. Auntie, What do you mean by that? I asked, feeling uneasy. Emily sighed. Ethan has always been determined since he was a child. Once he makes up his mind, not even 10 oxen could pull him back. It's just that. Marriage is not a game, so I hope you both live well together in the future. Her words were ambiguous, as if hinting at something, yet saying nothing at all. The thorn in my heart kept digging deeper and deeper. The next day, I went to the hospital to visit Liam. He had twisted his ankle playing basketball recently and needed rehabilitation. Just as I reached the door of the rehabilitation ward, I heard suppressed voices arguing inside. I beg you, stop tormenting yourself like this, and stop tormenting me too. His voice was filled with pain and exhaustion unlike anything before. Another male voice sounded, tinged with helplessness. Ethan, I know you're hurting, but now is not the time to talk about this. Clara, Clara Hayes? That name struck my mind like a bolt of lightning. She was Ethan's junior and a soulmate he once publicly acknowledged. I had seen a photo, a very beautiful Chinese girl with eyes like a fawn, said to be a genius painter. They once loved each other passionately, known throughout the entire university circle. Later, for some unknown reason, they broke up. Ethan never mentioned her in front of me. I held my breath, pressed against the door. How is she? What did the doctor say? Ethan's voice was urgent, even trembling slightly. Not good. After she found out you got married, she was very upset and fainted again last night, the doctor said. Something in her brain might have worsened. That male voice. I recognized it. It was Ethan's colleague and friend, Mark. Things in my head? Deterioration? There's too much information. I'm a bit confused. It's all my fault. All my fault. Ethan's voice was full of self-blame. I shouldn't have done it this way. Marriage is your choice. You said it was to make her completely give up, and also for you to move forward, no longer bound by that damn ethical constraint. Mark said. Ethical constraints? What ethical constraints? But what was the result? Not only did she not give up, her condition actually worsened. What exactly am I doing this for? Ethan almost growled. Mark, I regret it so much. I just can't let her go. I married Olivia, but I felt a chill rush from the soles of my feet straight up to the crown of my head. It turned out that the great misfortune talisman was not meant for us at all. It was for Clara Hayes, whom he thought of constantly. It turned out that he ended the honeymoon early not because of school matters, but because Clara was seriously ill. It turned out that the smell of disinfectant on him was because he had been staying at the hospital all along. So it turns out, this sudden marriage wasn't because of meeting the right person, but to make Clara, whom he deeply loves but cannot be with due to some ethical reason, give up? And incidentally, to free himself as well? What have I become? A tool? A scapegoat? A sacrifice to provoke his true love? A huge sense of absurdity and the anger of being deceived overwhelmed me like a tide. No wonder he is always overly gentle with me, yet never quite intimate enough. No wonder Emily always looks at me with a hint of pity. I was like a fool, lost in a self-righteous happiness. A sudden sharp pain struck my heart, and my vision darkened. I leaned against the wall, gasping for breath, but couldn't stop myself from falling backward. With a bang, the world plunged into darkness. Paid content hint, the heroine unexpectedly learns the truth about the flash marriage, suffers a heart attack and is hospitalized. About to confront the male lead face to face, the male lead's deeply loved white moonlight is critically ill, escalating the plot conflict. The pure white ceiling, the smell of disinfectant permeating the air. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed, his face haggard, with dark circles under his eyes. When he saw me wake up, a flicker of panic crossed his eyes, quickly replaced by a look of concern. Liv, you're awake? How do you feel? The doctor said you had a heart attack, but luckily you were brought in just in time. Ethan, we need to talk. He was momentarily stunned, seemingly not expecting me to be so calm. All right, what do you want to talk about? He tried to hold my hand, but I avoided it. Clara Hayes, who is she? I got straight to the point. Ethan's face instantly turned pale, his lips moved a few times, but no sound came out. I heard everything you said in the hospital corridor. I spoke clearly, word by word. You married me to provoke her, to make her give up, right? He suddenly raised his head, his eyes filled with shock and disbelief. You heard everything? Yes. I nodded. That great misfortune fortune slip was for her, right? You returned to the country early because she was seriously ill, didn't you? Ethan's gaze completely darkened. He lowered his head and painfully ran his hands through his hair. Silence spread throughout the hospital room, so oppressive it was hard to breathe. "I'm sorry, Liv," he finally spoke, his voice hoarse. I didn't mean to. Didn't mean to?" I sneered. "So you did it on purpose? Intentionally choosing a woman like me, with a clean family background, a gentle personality, and a bit naive, to play along with your sentimental act? No, Liv, listen to me," Ethan pleaded urgently. "Clara and our relationship is complicated. She is my stepfather's daughter." My pupils constricted suddenly. The stepfather's daughter? No wonder Mark mentioned ethical constraints. We grew up together since childhood and were very close. Later, we fell in love. But this kind of relationship is not accepted by society and has brought immense pressure to both families. Ethan's voice was filled with pain. "We struggled for a long time, breaking up and getting back together. Later, she was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and the doctor said the situation was very bad. So, you want to use marriage to cut through the mess quickly?" I finished for him. "You think that if you marry me, she will give up? That you will be free?" Ethan nodded painfully. "I thought this would be good for everyone. I thought I could let go of the past and start fresh with you." "Start fresh?" I laughed angrily. "Ethan, look at what you've done. You used a lie to kidnap someone else's life. Have you ever thought about how I feel? I know I was wrong, Liv. I really know I was wrong." Ethan looked up, his eyes full of regret. "But I really want to try to love you and live a good life with you." It was Ethan's voice. "Enough," I interrupted him. "Stop disgusting me with that kind of talk." Just then, the hospital room door was suddenly pushed open. Mark rushed in, his face anxious. "Ethan, it's bad. Clara is hemorrhaging heavily during surgery. We urgently need type O blood. The blood bank is in crisis." Ethan stood up with a whoosh, his face paler than paper. "How could this happen? I'm type O. Take my blood." "You're not suitable," Mark said anxiously. "You've been resting poorly lately. Your blood pressure is unstable. The doctor doesn't recommend it. The hospital is urgently contacting other blood sources." But time. Ethan seemed to have all his strength drained away. His body swayed. Suddenly, he turned sharply towards me, his eyes bursting with an almost desperate plea. "Liv, you're type O blood, right? I remember it was on your medical report. Please, save her. I'm begging you." He rushed to the side of my bed, his knees weakening as he was about to kneel. I looked at him, feeling nothing but irony. One moment he was repenting for deceiving me, and the next he could beg for mercy from the person he hurt, all for his true love. "Ethan, what makes you think I would agree?" My voice was cold, without a trace of warmth. "Using my blood to save your beloved? Don't you find that ridiculous? Liv, I know I'm a bastard. I have wronged you, but Clara is innocent. She's dying. I'm begging you, for the sake of our marriage." He was incoherent, grabbing my hospital gown like it was his last lifeline. "Marriage?" I shook off his hand, each word cutting deep. "What kind of marriage do we have? It was nothing but a carefully planned deception by you. I'm begging you, Liv, as long as you agree to save her, I'll do anything you want. Leave with nothing. I want nothing, just please save her life." He was almost wailing. Looking at him humbled to the dust, I felt no satisfaction, only endless chills. Moral coercion? He is quite skilled at it. Save, or not save? Clara is innocent. She is also a victim of this scam, and it may even have worsened her condition. Reason tells me that in the face of life, personal grudges are insignificant, but emotionally, why should I sacrifice myself to fulfill this man who deceived me and his so-called love? My silence made Ethan even more desperate. "Liv, go away." I closed my eyes and spat out a word. Ethan froze in place, his eyes completely lifeless. Mark sighed and pulled the distraught Ethan out of the ward. I opened my eyes, looked at the ceiling, and waves of dull pain hit my heart. In the end, I still picked up the phone and called my brother Liam. "Liam, do me a favor. Go to the operating room upstairs and donate blood to a patient named Clara Hayes. She's type O. Don't ask why. Just consider it a favor I owe you." After hanging up, I closed my eyes wearily. The person I saved was neither Clara nor for Ethan. I just don't want to take out my anger on an innocent life because of a scumbag. This is my bottom line. It wasn't long before Liam came back, his expression somewhat complicated. "Sis, the blood donation is done. But, what's going on with Ethan?" He was standing guard at the operating room door, crying as if his parents had died, constantly murmuring Clara's name. Isn't he a bit too attached to that girl? Liam hesitated, clearly sensing that something was wrong. I couldn't hear the rest clearly. I said nothing. After a while, the lights in the operating room went out. The nurse pushed Clara out from inside. Her face was pale, she wore an oxygen mask, and had not yet regained consciousness. Ethan immediately lunged forward, tightly grasping the railing of the moving hospital bed. His voice choked. Clara, Clara. That unabashed deep affection and sorrow pierced my eyes. I took a deep breath and walked up to him. Ethan. He turned around, saw me, his eyes full of complexity. Liv, thank you. No need to thank me. It was my brother who donated the blood. I interrupted him. Ethan, let's get a divorce. His body trembled, seemingly not surprised. All right, he replied softly, his voice filled with exhaustion and resignation. I have only one demand. I looked at him, speaking each word deliberately. To leave with nothing. Ethan suddenly lifted his head, a flash of surprise in his eyes, but it quickly dimmed again. Liam beside us couldn't hold back upon hearing this. Sis, what are you saying? Why should he leave with nothing? No. What exactly is going on between you two? Before I could speak, Ethan spoke first, his voice low and hoarse. Liam, I am the one who wronged your sister. I lied to her. He briefly told Liam what had happened, omitting the fact that Clara was his stepsister, only saying she was an ex-girlfriend. After hearing this, Liam trembled with anger and without a word, threw a punch straight at Ethan's face. Bastard, are you even human? Ethan did not dodge and took the punch squarely, blood immediately appearing at the corner of his mouth. He staggered slightly, steadied himself, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, did not fight back, nor did he speak, just silently endured. The hospital security guards rushed over upon hearing the commotion and pulled the furious Liam away. Sis, this marriage must end. I can't swallow this anger. Liam's eyes were bloodshot. I know. I patted his arm, signaling him to calm down. What happened next was as fast as a farce. Both sets of parents held an emergency meeting. The location was arranged in the living room of our apartment. Emily tried to mediate and defend her son, but my mother's attitude was unusually firm. She is usually gentle, but when it comes to her daughter's happiness, she won't give an inch. Ethan, tell us yourself, did you deceive our Liv? Mother stared at Ethan, her gaze sharp, under the watchful eyes of both parents. Ethan was utterly ashamed and eventually admitted it. Yes, Mom, Auntie, I'm sorry Liv. I lied to her from the very beginning. The living room immediately erupted into chaos. When I woke up again, I was in a hospital bed. My father slammed the table in anger, pointing at Ethan. You. Emily's face turned pale as she tried to defend herself. In-law, there must be some misunderstanding here. Misunderstanding? My mother sneered coldly, cutting her off. Emily, do you dare say you had no idea? Ethan ended his honeymoon early and came back smelling of disinfectant. Do you really think he went to school? Emily was left speechless by the question. At this point, there's nothing left to say. My mother stood up, her tone resolute. Divorce. Ethan must pay the price for his actions. Our Liv cannot suffer this injustice for nothing. He must leave with nothing, not a single cent. Ethan's father, a taciturn businessman, wore a dark expression throughout and finally said only, our Jiang family cannot afford to lose face over this. He must bear the consequences of his own actions. In the end, under immense pressure, Ethan silently signed the divorce agreement. I looked at him, my gaze icy cold. The agreement stipulated that all his premarital and postmarital assets, including this apartment, stocks, and savings, would all belong to me. In the truest sense, he walked away with nothing. The moment he signed, I looked at his despondent figure, feeling no satisfaction of revenge, only a weariness as if the dust had finally settled. This absurd marriage has finally come to an end. I quickly moved out of that apartment full of lies and returned to my own home. Life seemed to have gotten back on track, but only I knew that some things had been completely changed. A month after the divorce, I went to the hospital for a heart checkup. The doctor looked at my test report, frowning deeply. Miss Olivia, the situation isn't good, the doctor said gravely. Your heart failure is worsening, and the medication is barely controlling it. At this point, the best option is a heart transplant. A heart transplant? What if I don't get the transplant? Conservatively estimated, you may only have 5 years left. 5 years. This number hit my heart like a heavy hammer. I'm only 26 years old. My life seems to have just begun. Yet I'm told I only have 5 years left. A tremendous fear and despair instantly engulfed me. Stumbling out of the consultation room in a daze, I sat on a bench in the hospital for a long time. Fate always seems to love playing tricks on me. It gave me a privileged family background, but a frail body. It gave me what seemed like a perfect love, but it was a complete and utter deception. Now, is even time going to be taken away from me? Just as I was lost in my own sorrow, a familiar figure sat down beside me. It was Clara Hayes. She looked a little better than the last time I saw her outside the operating room, but her face was still pale, and she wore a beautiful knitted hat that covered the hair she might have lost due to treatment. "Are you, Olivia?" she whispered softly, her voice gentle and tinged with uncertainty. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for letting your brother save me." "It was nothing," I said flatly. We fell into silence. After a while, she spoke again, her tone apologetic. "I'm sorry. Because of what happened between Ethan and me, I caused you so much pain." I looked at her. The girl Ethan was willing to deceive me to protect. Her eyes were very clear, like a pool of pure spring water. "It's none of your business," I said. "He's the one at fault, not you." She gave a bitter smile. "Actually, I wanted to cut ties with him long ago. It's him who can't let go. His relationship with my stepfather has always been tense. Maybe, subconsciously, he projected his resentment towards my stepfather onto me. Love and hate intertwined. It's very complicated. He told me he got married to make me give up, but I know, he also wanted to push himself." Clara looked into the distance, her eyes somewhat distant. "But I didn't expect this to trigger my illness," the doctor said. "I might only have 2 months left." I looked at her in shock. 2 months? She is only 25 years old. The two of us, one told he has only 5 years left, the other only 2 months. How similar and how cruel fate is. The previous grievances and resentments suddenly seemed somewhat insignificant at this moment. We talked a lot. About Ethan, about our respective illnesses, about the fears for the future and the remaining hope. Strangely, a sense of camaraderie developed between us. As she was leaving, Clara held my hand. "Olivia, when I feel a little better, I want to give you a gift. A belated apology gift." I smiled and said, "All right," but I didn't expect that this gift would be delivered in such a way. A month later, I received the news of Clara's passing. She left peacefully. It is said she passed away in her sleep. The funeral was simple, and Ethan did not show up. I heard he locked himself at home and refused to see anyone. Another month passed, and just when I thought the heart matching would never come and I was ready to start planning the last 5 years of my life, the hospital suddenly called. "Miss Olivia, good news. We have found a matching heart donor. A perfect match. Surgery can be arranged immediately." Happiness came so suddenly, like a dream. The surgery was arranged very quickly. Before being pushed into the operating room, I saw my parents and Liam rushing over. Their eyes were filled with worry and hope. My final thought was, I want to live well. The surgery went exceptionally smoothly. The postoperative recovery was astonishingly fast. The doctor said that this new heart had achieved an almost perfect compatibility with my body, and the rejection reaction was very mild. It was simply a miracle. On the day of discharge, the weather was very nice. Sunshine streamed through the hospital's glass windows, warm and gentle. My parents and Liam helped me pack up my things, ready to leave. Just as we reached the hospital lobby, a familiar figure blocked our way. He had lost a lot of weight. His once upright posture now seemed a bit stooped, his eye sockets sunken, his beard unkempt, completely devoid of his former elite appearance. He stared at me steadily, his eyes filled with complex emotions, shock, pain, disbelief, and a hint of fear. "Live. Your heart." His voice was hoarse, almost out of tune. "I had a heart transplant," I answered calmly. He trembled violently as if struck by lightning, his face instantly turning as pale as paper. He took 2 steps back, muttering to himself with a dazed look. So that person was you. How could it be you?" His reaction was very strange. It was not just the shock of learning that I had recovered, but more like a tremendous fear and despair. I furrowed my brows, a bad premonition rising in my heart. "Ethan, what do you mean by that?" He didn't answer, just stared at me in a daze, his eyes swirling with a storm of emotions I couldn't understand. "Mr. Ethan, please step aside. We are leaving." Liam stood in front of me, his tone unfriendly. Ethan seemed not to hear, still staring intently at me, or rather, at my chest. In the end, he was escorted away by the hospital security. Back home, I immediately had my assistant start an investigate the information of my heart donor. Although donor information is strictly confidential, my family used some connections and resources to uncover some clues. In the donor information section, although the name was hidden, the age, blood type, time of death, all the information pointed to one person, Clara Hayes. My heart suddenly sank. So, the apology gift Clara mentioned meant this. So, the heart beating strongly inside my chest was hers. So, Ethan's words, "So that person was you," were because he knew Clara had signed an organ donation agreement, but he never expected that the one receiving her heart would be me. This realization pressed down on my chest like a huge boulder, so heavy that I could hardly breathe. I don't know how to describe the feelings at this moment. Gratitude, heaviness, absurdity, and an indescribable sorrow. Clara and I are forever connected in this way. And Ethan, how is he supposed to face this truth? The girl he deeply loved, felt guilty for, and was willing to do anything to keep. Her heart is now beating inside the body of his ex-wife whom he personally abandoned and deceived. To him, this is probably the greatest irony and punishment in the world. I went to the Zen temple near New York where Clara's ashes are kept. I wanted to see her and say thank you. The temple was serene, with incense smoke swirling around. I stood quietly in front of her memorial tablet for a long time. "Thank you, Clara," I whispered in my heart. "I will carry your spirit and live well." Just as I was about to leave, I saw a familiar figure. He was dressed in a simple gray monk's robe, sweeping the fallen leaves in the courtyard. His movements were slow and focused, as if performing some kind of ritual of atonement. He had grown even thinner, his face expressionless, showing only a numb kind of calm. Seeing me, the broom in his hand paused for a moment, a flicker of emotion passing through his eyes, but it quickly returned to a deathly stillness. He didn't step forward, just watched me from a distance. That look was no longer the shock and fear from before, but a complex gleam mixed with pain, regret, and a strange kind of deep affection. I ignored him and turned to leave, but after only a few steps, he caught up with me. The ward finally quieted down. "Liv," he called out to me, his voice hoarse. I stopped walking, but did not look back. He seemed to want to say something, but found it hard to speak. After a moment of silence, he finally spoke, his tone carrying a nearly humble plea. "Liv, can we start over?" I suddenly turned around, looking at him in disbelief. "I know I was a jerk before. I was inhuman," he said urgently, his eyes burning with a fierce, almost pathological light. "But it's different now. Clara is gone. I have already broken my faith for her. I am no longer bound by anything." He pointed to his monk's robe. "I volunteer here, studying Buddhism, to atone for my sins, and also to let go." "Let go?" I sneered. "Let go of Clara, and then treat me as her substitute?" Ethan's face stiffened. "No, that's not it," he retorted passionately. "Liv, I only now understand. I can't live without you. Seeing you recover, You see me recovering only because you know Clara's heart is inside my body, right?" I pierced through him directly. "Ethan, when you look at me, are you really looking at me, Olivia, or are you looking through me, at your deceased lover?" His eyes flickered, unable to answer. "You never loved me at all. You just couldn't bear the pain of losing Clara. So you tried to find her shadow in me to ease your guilt." My voice trembled slightly with anger. "From beginning to end, you only loved yourself. You are selfish to the extreme." Ethan was pushed back repeatedly by my words, his face pale, lips trembling, yet he couldn't utter a single word of rebuttal. "Don't bother me anymore." I looked at him, my gaze cold and resolute. "It's already over between us." After saying that, I didn't look at him again and turned to leave with long strides. Stepping out of the temple, the sunlight was dazzling. I took a deep breath, feeling the heart in my chest beating strongly. It reminded me of the preciousness of life, and that the past should be left behind. Shortly after, using part of the compensation from Ethan, I established an art scholarship foundation in the name of Clara Hayes, dedicated to supporting talented young artists from impoverished backgrounds. I think this is probably what Clara would have wanted to see as well, to pass on this gift of life in another way. After some time, I received a package sent anonymously. Inside was a small, handmade lucky pouch, with rough stitching, clearly made by someone inexperienced. There was no signature, but I knew who had sent it. The monks at the Zen temple told me that Ethan had officially shaved his head and become a monk. He gave up his university position, abandoned everything from his past, and entered the monastic life. This lucky bag might be his final confession and blessing. I held the lucky bag for a moment, then walked to the window and threw it into the trash bin downstairs. Some people, some things, need neither forgiveness nor remembrance. Only by cutting off the past can you embrace the future. My future is still long, very long. I will carry a brand new heart and live well. For myself this time.